At 5:52 this morning, a line of dark federal vehicles turned onto Fifth Avenue and stopped directly outside the main entrance of Trump Tower in Manhattan. Witnesses described at least 5 SUVs and one unmarked van. Roughly 24 federal agents stepped out, many carrying document cases, sealed evidence containers, and electronic search equipment. At exactly 6:03 a.m., the supervising agent approached building security, presented a federal search warrant, and stated, "We are authorized by court order to search designated offices and storage areas within this property. We require immediate access. Please notify management and do not obstruct this operation." Security personnel immediately contacted senior executives of the Trump Organization. Attorneys were called, and by 6:19 a.m., federal agents had entered executive office space on the upper floors, beginning what would become a sweeping search operation still underway at the time of this recording. Subscribe to this channel right now, because what is unfolding is not routine compliance or voluntary cooperation. This is federal law enforcement executing a judicially authorized search at one of the most recognizable properties associated with Donald Trump. Agents are seizing documents while legal teams rush to determine what is being taken and why. This is a pre-dawn operation at a landmark property tied to Trump's business empire. And it is happening in real time. Turn on notifications and set them to all. As this search progresses, and as the inventory of seized materials becomes available, you will see immediate analysis here. Because what is happening inside Trump Tower today could carry consequences far beyond this single day. Here is what led investigators to this moment. On January 10th, federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York submitted a sealed application to a federal magistrate judge seeking authorization to search business premises associated with Trump. The filing itself remains sealed, but individuals familiar with its contents say prosecutors alleged probable cause that evidence of federal financial crimes was located within Trump's corporate offices. Specifically, investigators cited suspected violations involving financial misrepresentation, bank loan documentation, and potential obstruction tied to business record-keeping. The application included affidavits from forensic accountants, IRS investigators, and FBI financial crimes specialists outlining transaction histories, internal communications, and witness testimony suggesting relevant records were stored at Trump Tower. On January 13th, the reviewing magistrate examined the application and supporting evidence. The judge approved the warrant. The authorization permitted agents to search executive offices, conference areas, and designated file storage locations. It listed categories of materials to be seized, including financial statements, tax documentation, communications with accounting professionals, and records concerning property valuations and loan agreements. That warrant was executed this morning just after 6 a.m. Hit the like button right now if you understand the significance. Federal agents are inside Trump Tower, executing a search authorized by a judge. This is not a subpoena that can be negotiated. This is a court-ordered search in which agents take possession of materials specified in the warrant. At 6:41 a.m., Trump posted a statement on social media from his residence at Mar-a-Lago. He wrote, "The FBI is conducting an unlawful raid of Trump Tower. This is political persecution and election interference. My lawyers are on site. This abuse of power will be challenged immediately." That statement characterizes the search as illegal and politically motivated, though the operation is proceeding under judicial authorization. At 7:08 a.m., Trump attorney Alina Habba arrived at the building. She was permitted to observe the search but not interfere. According to individuals present, she requested to review the warrant and after reading it said, "This authorization is excessively broad. We object to the scope and are documenting all actions taken today." Agents continued their work. Drop a comment right now. Do you believe this search will uncover criminal evidence, or do you believe prosecutors are overreaching? I am reading responses because this question is sharply dividing legal analysts and the public. By 8:32 a.m., observers outside reported seeing agents carrying sealed boxes from the building into federal vehicles. Each container was labeled as evidence and logged before removal. By 9:05 a.m., sources estimated at least a dozen boxes had already been transported to a secure federal facility for cataloging. At 10:11 a.m., the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York issued a brief confirmation. Federal agents are executing a court-authorized search warrant at a Manhattan location as part of an ongoing investigation. No further comment at this time. That statement confirms the operation, but discloses nothing about what investigators are seeking or what has been found. By late morning, legal commentators began weighing in. Former federal prosecutor Preet Bharara, who previously led that same U.S. Attorney's Office, stated on television, "For a judge to approve a search of Trump Tower, prosecutors had to show probable cause that crimes occurred and that evidence is there. Courts do not grant such warrants casually, particularly involving high-profile figures." Share this video now, because what matters next is understanding what agents are authorized to seize and how Trump's legal team can respond. Search warrants are precise legal instruments. They specify the location and categories of items permitted to be taken. Agents cannot remove anything outside those parameters. According to individuals familiar with the warrant, authorized categories include multi-year financial statements, tax returns and schedules, communications with accountants regarding valuations, loan applications and supporting documentation, and records concerning properties such as Trump Tower and other corporate holdings. The warrant also permits seizure of electronic storage devices capable of containing relevant files. Agents must produce a detailed inventory listing every document, device, and storage medium taken. That inventory will be provided to Trump's attorneys, who can challenge any seizure they believe exceeds the warrant's scope. At 12:07 p.m., reports indicated agents had moved into basement-level storage areas within the tower. Witnesses described extensive archives of paper records stored in labeled boxes, many predating digital systems. Agents photographed shelving units, examined file indexes, and selected specific boxes for removal. By 12:58 p.m., the number of containers removed had reportedly doubled. At 1:36 p.m., Trump issued another social media statement. "They are taking everything. This is a fishing expedition. They don't know what they're looking for. This kind of abuse happens in corrupt countries, not America." That message reflects anger, but does not address that a federal judge approved the search after reviewing sworn evidence. Here are the indicators analysts are watching as this operation continues. First, the total volume of material removed. If the count exceeds several dozen boxes, it suggests investigators believe extensive evidence exists. Second, whether electronic devices are seized. Computers and drives can contain communications not found in paper files. Third, whether items are taken directly from Trump's personal office. Such materials would carry particular significance. Fourth, duration. A search extending deep into the day indicates a substantial scope of records. Fifth, whether Trump's attorneys seek an emergency court order to halt or limit the search. That would signal a belief agents exceeded authority. Sixth, the content of the final inventory. That document will reveal exactly what prosecutors now possess. 3 potential scenarios follow from today's events. Scenario 1. Seized materials support criminal charges. Prosecutors review the evidence and conclude it proves financial fraud or related offenses. Charges are filed. Scenario 2. The materials fail to meet prosecutorial thresholds. Investigators find inconsistencies, but not proof beyond reasonable doubt. No charges follow. Scenario 3. Trump's legal team successfully challenges aspects of the warrant or its execution. A judge suppresses some evidence, weakening the case. Subscribe and comment with which scenario you think will occur. Updates will follow as investigators analyze the seized records. Why is this search distinct from earlier federal actions involving Trump? Prior searches, including the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case, focused on national security materials. This search centers on business and financial documentation. Alleged financial crimes leave paper trails, bank filings, valuations, tax declarations. These records either align or conflict. By mid-afternoon, roughly 8 hours after entry, agents remained inside Trump Tower. Sources described a methodical, checklist-driven operation rather than a sweeping rummage. At 2:28 p.m., Trump's legal team filed a letter in federal court requesting that the search be halted, arguing the warrant was overly broad and harmful to business operations. As of this recording, the court had not intervened. At 3:22 p.m., witnesses observed agents loading final containers into vehicles. By approximately 3:35 p.m., the federal convoy departed the building. Total estimated duration, over 9 hours. Estimated materials seized, dozens of boxes and multiple electronic devices. At 4:02 p.m., prosecutors issued a concluding statement. Today's court-authorized search at a Manhattan location has concluded. Agents executed the warrant in accordance with law. An inventory of seized materials will be provided to counsel. That confirms completion and signals the next phase, evidence review. At 4:46 p.m., Trump delivered remarks by video from Florida, calling the search an outrage and prosecutorial misconduct, asserting innocence and pledging legal challenge. He took no questions. Legal analysts note the central issue now is what the seized documents show. If records reveal discrepancies between financial statements provided to lenders and those reported to tax authorities, that could indicate fraud. If valuations differ dramatically depending on context, investigators may argue intentional misrepresentation. What is known with certainty? This morning, federal agents entered Trump Tower with a judge-approved search warrant. They searched executive offices and storage areas. They removed large quantities of financial records and electronic media. The operation lasted more than 9 hours. Trump denounced it as illegal. His attorneys objected, but did not stop it. Prosecutors now hold the seized materials for analysis. This marks a significant escalation in scrutiny of Trump's business practices. It is federal law enforcement executing a search at the headquarters of his corporate organization. It is investigators obtaining financial documentation that could support or refute allegations of fraud. The search phase is over. The review phase begins. And what prosecutors find within those seized records will determine the direction of this investigation. When the inventory becomes public, when charging decisions are made, when legal challenges unfold, you will see the analysis here first. This is not finished. This is federal investigators executing a warrant, collecting evidence, and assessing whether crimes occurred. And what was taken from Trump Tower today may ultimately decide whether Donald Trump faces federal financial crime charges.